right, I know. 3 days. I know. But I'll be back tomorrow. All right, so day 6, classifying triangles by sides. So an equilateral triangle is when all 3 sides are equal. Or all sides are congruent, I should say. Okay, so equal, think about equal measurements. All 3 side lengths are equal measurements. Now, isosceles, okay, is when 2 sides are congruent. Draw a little picture for the first one, my bad. So if I drew a little right triangle with tick, 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 3 congruent sides, that's equilateral. Now, 2 sides are congruent. You can draw it like this. Only 2 sides are the same. That's isosceles, okay? Now, how can I remember that? Now, when I think of I think of the word I, E-Y-E. How many eyes do you have? 2. So your 2 eyes tells you that there's 2 sides. Isosceles. All right, scalene. All 3 sides have different lengths. So for example, okay, if you know all 3 sides are different, that's scalene, okay? It could be like 3, 4, and 5, you know? So, all right, so that's by the side length. So again, all this is by sides, very important. Now, what if we look at the angles? Okay, an acute triangle has one acute, sorry, a triangle with all acute angles. All 3 angles are acute. 50, 70, 60, something like that, right? Now, equiangular is where all angles are congruent. If you're not, oh my gosh, what happened? And equilateral and equiangular are going to be the same thing. Can't have one without the other. Okay, so angle, 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 they're all the same. And they're all 60-degree angles. Inside of a triangle has to add up to 180. You divide the 180 by 3, and you get 60. If they're all equal, they all have to be 60 degrees. Okay? Well, next one. A right triangle has a triangle with 1 right angle. It cannot have more than 1, otherwise it will not make a triangle. An obtuse triangle is a triangle with 1 obtuse angle. So a right triangle looks like this. 1 right angle. An obtuse triangle, like 120 degrees or something. All right, interior angles of a triangle. are angles inside of a triangle. Exterior angles are created by extending a side of a triangle. So here's an example. I have a triangle off to the side here. If I continue extending this side, I create this angle on the outside right there called an exterior angle. Okay, and remote interior, okay, remote means far away. That's when you use a remote control when you're far away. So the farthest interior angles are the furthest two interior angles from an exterior angle. I'll give you a second to write those down. All right, now, exterior angles. There's a theorem we know about exterior angles. So write this down right here. The exterior angle equals the sum of the remote interior angles. The exterior angle is equal to the sum of the remote interior angles. So here's what I mean. Example on the left. What is the exterior angle? It's x. So go and put x equals, and what are the remote interior? What are the two angles on the inside farthest away? Well, you have 24, and then you have 16. So all you gotta do is add those up. 24 plus 16. The outside equals the two furthest away on the inside added together, which is gonna be 40 degrees. So that's a simple one. What about, oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. What about this exterior angle? So the exterior is right over here. 5y plus 3. And that's going to equal these remote interiors added together. 2y plus 21. Now, y is on both sides, so like we've talked about before, you get rid of the smaller one. Smaller y is 2y. What's the opposite of a positive 2y? Minus 2y minus 2y. I get 3y plus 3 equals 21. Get rid of the loner. Minus 3 is 18. And then get rid of that 3 by dividing by 3. So y gives me 6. Okay. Now, I know the printing on this packet is all messed up. Okay. So your corresponding angles is like still on page 1. So We're going to do our best to salvage this packet, okay? But for corresponding angles, okay, our angles in the same position on congruent triangles. Corresponding sides are sides in the same position on congruent triangles. By the way, maybe we haven't talked about this, but congruent is this equals with the squiggle on top, okay? Congruent polygons have all congruent sides and angles. All right, now here's the doozy. Ready? If two triangles are congruent, then everything is corresponding in order. That means angle, the first letter A is congruent to the first letter P. The second letter B is congruent to the second letter O, those angles. The third C is congruent to R. Those angles are congruent. And the segments, so segment AB, the first two letters, is congruent to segment PO, the first two letters. Segment BC is congruent to OR, second two letters, second and third letter, second and third letter. And then first and third letter AC is congruent to PR. All right. So make sure, oh my gosh. So make sure you write that down. I don't understand. Okay. So make sure you write that down. And then you can try to match those up on the next one as well. ABC and XYZ. So finish writing and try to fill in these blanks, matching up the angles and the segments. All right. So easiest way to do this, first letter, first letter. So angle A is congruent to angle X. Second letter, angle B is congruent to angle X, Y. And we're going to label these with an arc for the first letter, two arcs for the second letter. Okay, and then the third letter, C and Z, those angles are congruent. We'll put three arcs on that. And then we'll go from there. So the segments, the first two letters, AB, are congruent to the first two letters, XY. We're going to put one tick mark on those segments. All right, second and third letter would be BC is congruent to YZ. We're going to put two tick marks on BC. and YZ. And then first and last, first and last. So that'd be AC is congruent to XZ. That'll be 3 ticks, 3 ticks. Cool. All right. So I'll give you a second to finish writing that down. Then we're going to scroll on to the next one. See if you can try the examples right there. Okay. So if you're given everything labeled correctly, then you should be able to put things in the correct order. Let's make a big mark here. Order matters. Very important note. You should write that down. Order matters, okay? Here's what I mean. If it says ACB, which goes from 1 arc to 3 arcs to 2 arcs, then I have to follow the same order on the other one. 1 arc to 3 arcs to 2 arcs. ZXY. So if you put ACB matches XZY, I understand why. This is not drawn to scale. The drawing on this is kind of messed up. We want to follow the tick marks and the arc marks. So let me erase that again. We're going from 1 tick mark to 3 tick marks to 2. 1, 3, 2. So on the other one, it's 1, 3, 2. Z, X, Y. Okay. Now the next one's nicer. So let's take a look at this. HIJ is from 1 arc. Was I saying tick marks earlier? I meant arcs. 1 arc to 2 arc to the right angle. So over here, 1 arc, 2 arc to the right angle is going to be KML. Do you see how that works? Do you see that order matters and it has to match what's labeled on the triangle? Okay. All right, last section before our homework, and homework's kind of messed up, but let's try it again. Okay, so part of a right triangle. Okay, so we got hypotenuse, 2 legs, right triangle, acute angles. Okay, hypotenuse, we've done this word before, is the longest side of a right triangle across from 90 degrees. It's also known as C. Okay, your 2 legs, also known as A and B, are the shorter 2 sides of a right triangle next to the 90 degrees. So you got A and you got B. Cool. Right angle, 90 degrees. I don't know what to say about that. And acute angles, less than 90 degrees. Right? So those are parts of a right triangle. Now an isosceles triangle, let's try that again. I cannot make this look nice. Whatever. Okay, your legs are the 2 congruent sides. The base is the bottom non-congruent side. base angles are going to be two congruent angles, and they're across from the two congruent sides. The vertex angle, it's the angle between the congruent sides. I'll let y'all write that down, and then we got to talk about this assignment. Now your assignment is supposed to look like this. It's supposed to be nice and make sense. And there's supposed to be a review for your next test, but it's kind of messed up. So like, I might have to reprint this. If not, you're just going to do your best to try to make it make sense with this image. But that's it for the notes. So go ahead and work on your assignment and make sure you finish it and turn it in.